trainings, right? Always these people will provide the trainings. There is nothing new, and right, last year what they explained, this year also same, next year also same, after next year also same, and there is no new things they are going to provide. Repeat kind of things only. And one more thing, so you guys can't able to get much more practical things also from this full-time trainers. Suppose if you go with this part-time trainers, these people know what industries are expecting, what companies are expecting, what new things we are using in our projects. All those things these guys can able to understand. These guys can able to explain all those things what companies are looking currently, right? All real-time scenarios these people can cover, right? These people also working employees, so these people also will face some challenges in their projects, so they can discuss all those challenges with you guys. So that is the difference between full-time trainers and part-time trainers, right? You can say real-time working trainers and real-time working professionals. Like this, we can tell it, right? Instead of saying part-time trainers, we can say like this, right? Full-time trainers means these people are not working people. Maybe long back they worked in. Maybe long back they worked the initial days, and now these people are not working. These people are providing only trainings, right? Real-time working professionals means these people are currently working people. These guys know everything what happening in the companies, what companies are expecting. These people can cover all real-time scenarios. So this is the difference between these two kind of people, right? So next, coming to our course, what is our course name? Python full stack web development. Python full stack web development. To attend for this course, what are the prerequisites? What are the prerequisites to attend for this course? And so we are going to learn Python full stack web development, right? To attend for this course, what are the prerequisites? Nothing is required. Nothing is required. Nothing. If you guys know how to read the English, how to write the English, that is enough to attend for this course. If you guys want to attend for this course, what are the prerequisites? Nothing. And just English communication is required. How to read the English, how to write the English, that is enough to understand our course. But if you go for Java, first time you guys are going to attend for Java classes, and you guys can able to understand without having any technical knowledge? No, it is very difficult. If you want to attend for Java classes, compulsory you guys should have some basic programming knowledge, and whether it is C language, C++, then only you guys can able to understand Java classes. But coming to our Python course, there is no such kind of dependency. Without having any knowledge, without having any programming knowledge, not knowledge, without having any programming knowledge, irrespective of background, and you guys can come from computers background, you guys can come from mechanical background, you guys can come from electronics background, and there is no problem. Irrespective of background, right? Anyone can able to understand this course. Anyone can able to learn this Python full stack web development. There is no dependency on other technologies. Okay. So next, first, let me talk what is full stack development. First, let me talk what is full stack development. What is full stack development? So in the companies, we can see three types of developers. In the companies, we can see three types of developers. One is back-end developers. Second one is front-end developers. Third one is full stack developers. In the companies, we can see these three types of developers. One is back-end developers, front-end developers, full stack developer. These three types of people we can see in the companies. right? Back-end developers in the sense what, Andy? See, let me take one diagram. See, I have browser, Google Chrome browser. Here, I opened Gmail, and when you click on that Gmail link, first what you will get, and first what you will get, username. Username, you need to provide username. Next, password, you need to provide password. Next, here you will get submit button, and here you will get submit kind of thing. See here, when you click on Gmail link, first you need to provide username. Next, you need to provide password. Next, here you can click on, you can see one button, and which is submit button at here. Here you can see one button which is submit button. Submit button. We need to click on that button. We need to click on that button. So this is the login page, Gmail login page. When you click on Gmail, what you will get? You will get this login page. Here you will provide username, you will provide password, and you will click on the submit button. When you click on this submit button, what it will happen internally? Internally, what's happening? Whenever you clicked on this submit button, internally, what is happening? Right? See, whenever you click on the submit button, observe very carefully. Here, inside Gmail server, Azure. So this is one server computer. Server. So this is also mission only. 1 minute. Mission only, and that is also on computer only. Right. So inside this computer, this is the mission. So inside this computer, I have one server, and I installed one server inside the computer. So this is the server. Server is available. Inside this server, I deployed one application, and inside this server, I deployed one application. This is my Gmail application. This is my Gmail application, and Gmail application. Observe very carefully. Right, one computer is there. Inside the computer, they installed one server. Inside the server, they deployed one Gmail application. Now, whenever you provided this username and password, after providing this username and password, you need to click on the submit button. Once you click on the submit button, what it will happen? The request will go to this application. The request will go to this application, and inside the server, whatever the application we deploy, right, the request will go to that application. Inside this application, what logic is available? Here, we have some business logic is available. What that logic will do? That logic will take the username and password which is provided by the customer. Here, whatever the logic we have, that logic will take the username and password which is provided by the customer, and it will check inside the DB. Here we have database correction also. Here we have DB correction also. After getting that username and password, right, this application itself will check inside the database whether that username and password is available or not. That username and password is available inside the database or not. This code will check it. This code only will check it. If these details are available inside the database, then this application will fetch corresponding email details and corresponding inbox details and display those details. It will get from DB and display those details on the browser. See what it is happening. Observe carefully what is happening internally. Whenever you provided username and password and click on submit button, request will go to this Gmail application, which is deployed inside the server. Right. Inside this application, what we have some business logic is available. What this logic will do? This logic will take the username and password, which is provided by the user, and it will check, this logic itself will check that username and password is available inside this Gmail database or not. If it is available, then this application only will fetch the corresponding inbox details and display on the browser. Suppose if these details are not available inside the database, then this application will display one error message at here, invalid credentials. Guys, following or not? Please respond in chat box. Guys, it should be two-way communication, not single way. When I ask the questions, you guys need to respond in the chat box. Then only you guys will get the subjected. Then only I will get more interest and I can give the more subject also. Right? Observe very carefully. When you click on the submit button, request will go to this application. Inside this application, we wrote some business logic. What that logic will do? That logic will take the username and password and it will check inside the DB. If those details are available, then this application only will fetch the corresponding details and display on the browser. Suppose those details are not available inside the database, then this application only will display one error message, invalid credentials, like that. Right? See here, two things. And if you know only developing this business logic, then you are the back-end developer. And if you know only developing this business logic, whatever we have inside the server, then you are the back-end developer. If you know only this pattern, how to design this part, then you are the front-end developer. If you know both the things, and if you know how to write the business logic, and if you know how to design this part, then you are the full stack developer. Understood, guys? If you know only how to develop this business logic, then you are the back-end developer. If you know how to design only this part, then you are the front-end developer. If you know both the things, and how to write the business logic and how to design this front-end part, then you are the full stack developer. Understood, guys? Let me write these points. If you know only how to develop business logic, how to develop back-end business logic, then you are the back-end developer. Right? So next, if you know how to design front-end part, so then you are the front-end developer. Right. Next, full stack developer. If you know both back-end business logic development and front-end design development, then you will be called as full stack developer. Clear, guys? In the companies, you can see these three types of people. Back-end developer means what? Back-end developer means what? who can develop this business logic, those people are called as back-end developer. Right? Front-end developer means who can develop this design part. Then those people will be called as front-end developers. If you know both the things, then you will become what? Full stack developer. Right now, right here we have three types of developer, right? Three types of developers. Who will get more salary and who will get more salary? Back-end developers or front-end developers or full stack developers? If you are full stack developer, then you will get more salary. If you are full stack developer, then you will get more salary. You can expect experience into 4 times. Experience into 4 times minimum, not maximum. Minimum. Suppose if you have 2 years of experience, you can expect 8 to 10 lakhs of the package. 8 to 10 lakhs of the package you can expect it. If you have 3 years of experience, right, minimum you can expect 12 lakhs package, right? If you are the full stack developer, you can expect experience into 4 times minimum, right? If you are the back-end developer or front-end developers, you guys can expect experience into 2 or 3 times. Experience into 2 or 3 times you can expect it. Understood, guys? Right. So these two people, what these two people will do, what these two persons will do, that entire work this single person is doing. Right here, what these two people are doing, that entire work single person only doing it here. That's why this person can expect a more salary. Understood, guys? If you are the full stack developer, how much salary you will get? Clear? Experience into 4 times minimum. Experience into 4 times minimum. Recently I did proxy for one guy, so that guy got, right, 12 lakhs package plus 1 lakh joining bonus. 1 lakh joining bonus also in HSBC. 12 lakhs package plus 1 lakh joining bonus also. Total 13 lakhs he got it. Total 13 lakhs. And what is the experience? Exact 3.0. He put 3.0, and that is also fake experience, no problem. Right, 3.0 he put, right, for 3 years of experience, right? How much he got? 13 lakhs. 13 lakhs. Understood, guys? This is the salary structure, and like this you guys will get it. Right, now clear what is full stack development, right? Guys, please respond. What is full stack development? Is it clear or not? Pawan, Deepthi. So now tell me, what is web development? What is a web application? And very, very important. Web application. What is a web application? Anyone have idea? What is web application? When we can say a application is a web application. Right, very, very important. Very, very important. The application which we can access through browser. The application which we can access through browser. Such type of applications are called as web applications. The application which we can access through browser, such type of applications are called as web applications. The application which we can access through internet, such type of applications are called as web application. What is web application? The application which we can access through browser. You are saying browser means compulsory internet must be required. Then only you can able to open the browser. Without having internet connection, can you get Google page? And no, you can't. You can't able to get Google page. Compulsory internet must be required to open the Google page. Understood, guys? Understood what I'm telling? The application which we can access through browser, such type of applications are called as web applications. Right? Best example for web applications. Example for web application. Gmail is the web application only. Facebook is the web application only. Facebook is the web application only. Next, Flipkart, Amazon, all these things are web applications only. All these are what? Web applications only. The application which we can access through browser, such type of applications are called as web applications. Means what? Without having internet access, you can't able to access any one of these applications. Without having internet, can you able to access Gmail? No. Can you able to access Facebook? No. Can you able to access Flipkart? No. To access any one of these applications, compulsory internet connection must be required. Through browser only you can able to access these applications. Such type of applications are called as web applications. Understood? What is web application? Guys, please respond. Two-way communication I'm expecting. The application which we can access through browser, such type of applications are called as what? Web applications. Right? These are the web applications. These are the web applications. Next, when we are talking about web application, when we are discussing about web application, mainly we need to discuss about two components. In web application development, in web applications, we have below two components. Below two components. In web applications, we have below two components. What two components are available? One is front-end component. Second one is back-end component. One is the front-end component. Second one is back-end component. Right, guys, try to understand what is web application. Clear? If you want to develop this web application, right, we need to concentrate on these two components. What is these two components? One is front-end component. Second one is back-end component. Front-end component, back-end component. Right? So next, what is the front-end? And so next, tell me, what is front-end? What is front-end? What is front-end? So whatever user can able to see on the browser, whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front-end only. See here, after opening the browser, after clicking on the Gmail link, what user can able to see? This username and a text box, password, text box, submit button. See, I can able to see all these things on the browser. I can able to see all these things on the browser. Whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front end only, right? Whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front end only. That everything will come under front end only. Whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front end only. Right. So now, if you want to develop this front end part, what technologies are required? To develop front end part, what technologies are required? Required technologies for developing front-end part. Required technologies for developing front-end part. What technologies are required, Andy? First one, HTML. HTML means what? Hypertext markup language. HTML is nothing but what? Hypertext markup language. Right. So front-end developers and all front-end developers should have strong knowledge on this HTML. right? This HTML only will provide the main skeleton for our front-end application. Whatever the front-end design we have, for that design, this HTML only will provide the main skeleton. Without having knowledge on HTML, you can't able to work with any front-end technology. Right? If you want to work with any front-end technology, this HTML is the base technology, compulsory required technology. Right? So first one, HTML is required. Right now, you guys may ask a question, sir, I'm very strong in HTML. Can I develop the front-end design or not? Can I develop the front-end part by using HTML or not? You guys may ask a question. Yes, you can develop it. You can develop front-end by using only HTML. But the problem is you won't get that much look and feel it. You can develop it, but you won't get the beauty it. You won't get that much look and feel. If you want to get that look and feel also, along with HTML, along with this HTML, we required one more technology, which is CSS. CSS means what? Cascade Style Sheets. By using this CSS, we can apply the markup for front-end pages. Whatever the page you developed by using HTML, right? For those pages, we can apply markup by using this CSS technology. Right? By using HTML, we are designing the page. Right? For that page, we can apply the markup by using this CSS technology. Like, right, font sizes, different font sizes you can take, different buttons you can take, different background colors you can apply, different text colors you can apply, all those things, different tables you can create, all those things we can do by using CSS, Cascade Style Sheets. Understood, guys? HTML and CSS. These two technologies are main technologies for developing front-end pages. So now you guys may ask a question. Sir, I'm very strong in HTML and CSS both. Can I develop any type of front-end page? You guys may ask a question like, I'm very strong in HTML and CSS. Can I develop any type of front-end page? No. By using HTML and CSS, by using HTML and CSS, we can develop only static pages. We can develop only static pages, right? So what is a static page and what is static page? What is a static page? The pages which are not changing from person to person. Such type of pages are called as static pages. What is static page? The pages which are not changing from person to person. Such a type of pages are called static pages. It means fixed pages. For anyone, these pages are fixed. Suppose I want to log in into Gmail. What I will get first? Login page I will get like this. Suppose if you want to log in into Gmail, what you will get first? Same login page you will get. Right? If anybody wants to log in into Gmail account, everyone will get this login page only first. This login page is common for anyone. There is no change in the login page. Such type of pages are called as static pages. Suppose if you want to log in into your internet, ICICI Bank internet banking, right? First, what you will get? You will get login page. Suppose if I want to log in into ICICI Bank internet banking, what I will get? Same login page. There is no difference in login page person to person. If anybody wants to log in into ICICI Bank, first all people will get same kind of login page. Such type of pages are called as static pages. Login pages, registration pages, and your training institute's website pages, all are called what? Static pages only. Right? By using this HTML and CSS, we can develop these kind of static pages. Clear this point? Clear? You should have strong knowledge on this HTML and CSS. Right? By using this HTML and CSS, what kind of pages we can develop? We can develop static pages. What is the static page? The pages which are not changing from person to person. Such type of pages are called as static pages. Right? So next, I want to develop dynamic page. I want to develop dynamic page. Right? So by using HTML and CSS, can I develop dynamic page? No. No. Right? For developing dynamic pages, along with this HTML and CSS, we required one more technology. We required one more technology, which is what and JavaScript. JavaScript. If you know these three technologies, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, then you can develop any type of front-end pages, whether it's static page, dynamic page, anything you can develop if you know these three technologies. Right? See, let me add this point. By using HTML, otherwise, the pages which are changing from person to person, such type of pages are called as dynamic pages. See, static pages means what? Fixed. There is no change. Static pages means fixed. There is no change. Dynamic pages means what? And right, change. And it will change person to person. See, Gmail login page, common for all. If you want to log in same page, you will get. If I want to log in same page, I will get it. Suppose if I provided my username and password and click on the submit button, what I will get? I will get my account related inbox details. Based on the user providing details, corresponding page we will get. Based on the user providing details, corresponding page we will get. Suppose if you provided username and password, you will get your account related inbox page. Right? After providing the user details, whatever the pages we are getting, those pages are changing from person to person. Inbox pages are changing for person to person. Such type of pages are called dynamic pages. Suppose if I provide my account number and password, click on the submit button, what I will get? Right, my account information. What is my name? Right, how much balance is available in my account? I will get my account information. Suppose if you provided your account number and password details, you will get your account information. Whatever the response pages we are getting, those pages are changing from person to person based on the input we provided. Based on the input we provided, we are getting different response pages. Those pages are called as what? Dynamic pages. For developing dynamic pages, what technologies we require? And the HTML. By using HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, we can develop dynamic pages. We can develop dynamic pages. If you guys have strong knowledge on HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, then you can develop any type of pages, whether it is static page or a dynamic page, anything you can develop. Right? So along with these technologies, we have some more other front-end, advanced front-end technologies also, which are jQuery, Bootstrap, Angular, etc. Like this, we have several advanced front-end technologies also. Clear, guys? What is front-end? Whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front-end only. For developing this front-end part, what technologies are required? HTML is required, CSS is required, JavaScript also required. If you know only these two technologies, you can develop only static pages. What is static page? The pages which are not changing from person to person, such type of pages are called as static pages. If you know these three technologies, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, then you can develop dynamic pages. What is dynamic page? The pages which are changing from person to person, such type of pages are called as dynamic pages, sir. For developing dynamic pages, what technologies are required? These three technologies are required. Clear, guys? Apart these three technologies, we have some more front-end technologies, advanced front-end technologies, which are jQuery, Bootstrap, Angular, etc. Up to here, clear? Please respond. Up to here, any doubts? So what we discussed, and just what is full stack development? Right? To whom we will call it as back-end developers, to whom we will call it as front-end developers, to whom we will call it as full stack developers. We discussed it. So next, what is web application? We discussed it. For developing web applications, what main components are available? Two components, front-end component, back-end component. Front-end component means what? And whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front-end only. For developing front-end part, right, we have three main technologies. And one is HTML, CSS, JavaScript. Right? If you know only HTML and CSS, you can develop only static pages. If you know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, all three, then you can develop dynamic pages. Right? Clear? Guys, in classroom itself, you guys should clear on all those things what we are discussing. You guys not required to spend much more time to understand these things and to read these things. And in classroom itself, you guys need to get everything. So that's why I'm repeating these many number of times. Okay, fine. So next, so what is next one? Next component, back-end component. Back-end component and back-end component. What is back-end component? Front-end component means clear. What is back-end component? This one. And this entire thing will come under back-end. This business logic. So this is a database part. 1 minute, guys. Let me put charging. Okay. See, this application, business logic, this is a database part, everything will come under backend only. In entry room, how you will explain this? Backend means what you will explain? Whatever user can't able to see on the browser, once you click on the Gmail button, Gmail link, can you able to see what logic is executing internally? You can't. Can you able to see what data is available inside the database? No, you can't. Just you can able to see username, text box, password, text box, submit button. You can't able to see once you click on the submit button, which logic is executing. You can't able to see which database this application is connecting. Whatever user can't able to see on the browser, that everything will come under backend only. Some people may feel, array only database is the backend part, remaining everything is front end. No, no. Whatever user can't able to see on front end, on browser, that everything will come under backend only, whether it is application or it is database, anything. Everything will come under backend only. Let me add that point. Whatever user can't able to see on the browser, that everything will come under backend only. Right? Whatever user can't able to see on the browser, that everything will come under backend only. Right? For developing backend part, right, what technologies are required? Required technologies for developing backend part. Required technologies for developing backend. What technologies are required for developing backend? Right. So when we are working with the backend development set, backend developers, right, should have strong knowledge on backend developers should have basic knowledge on below things and below three things. What things are there, Andy? What things are there? One is programming language must be required, and programming language must be required. Second one is one framework must be required, and framework must be required. Third one is database knowledge also must be required. Right. These three things are required for backend developers. If you want to work at the backend side, these three things are mandatory. These three things are required. Programming language means what? Generally we have Python is a programming language, Java is a programming language, etc. We have several programming languages like this. At least you should know one programming language, and whether it is Python or Java. By using Java, we can develop web application. By using Python also, we can develop web application. Right? So here you should have knowledge on Python or Java. Any one programming language knowledge must be required. Forget about Java. We are learning Python here. Okay. So next, coming to framework. First, tell me what is framework. First, tell me what is framework. What is a framework? Anyone have idea? What is a framework? Framework is a semi-software. Framework is a semi-software. What it will do, Andy? It will provide the support to developers. How it will provide the support to developers, Andy? For developing the web application, whatever the commonly required things are available, those commonly required things, these frameworks will provide it. Right? For developing the application, whatever the commonly required things are available, those commonly required things, these frameworks are providing to us. If you use this framework, 50% of the work is completed. Suppose if you are not using any framework, right, you are going to develop complete application by using only Python. Right? You have to write lot of code. You have to write lot of code, and everything programmer only needs to take care. Right? So if you take any framework support, right, for developing the application, whatever the commonly required things are available, all those things, this framework will provide automatically. Right? 50% of the burden is reduced. As a developer, we need to focus on remaining 50% only. If you are not using any framework, everything programmer only needs to take care. If you use any framework, that framework is reducing the burden to developers. This framework will provide some commonly required things for developing the applications. What is framework? It is a semi-software. It will provide commonly required things for developing web applications. Okay. So now tell me, we are using Python. So here we need to take Python related frameworks only. Suppose if you use Java, then you need to go for Java related frameworks. But here we are using Python. So for developing web applications, what frameworks are providing and what frameworks are available? Python related frameworks. We have Django framework is available. And Flask is available, etc. So like this, we have some of the Python related frameworks. Right? So among all these frameworks, which framework is more popular and powerful? And we have several Python related frameworks are available. Among all these frameworks, which framework is more powerful and popular? And Django framework is more popular. 90% of the companies are using this Django framework. Remaining 10% of the companies are using Flask. Compare with the Flask, Django is more powerful. Why, Andy? Why Django is more powerful, Andy? Right? If you use this Django framework, right, we are going to get right, dozens of inbuilt things. Right? Suppose when we are working with web application, I want one server, and is required. Right? Suppose if you want any server, we will get so many servers in market. We will get so many servers in market, right? Tomcat is available. Tomcat is available. WebLogic is available. Next, WebSphere is available, etc. Right, etc. So many servers are web servers are available in market. Right. So now you can take any one of the server. You can take any one of the server, and you need to download that server in your system, and you need to install that server in your system, and you need to configure that server in your application. Here, what things you need to do? Suppose if you want to use any external servers, these are the external servers, right? Outside you are getting it. These are external. Sorry. So these are external servers. Outside you are getting. If you want to use any one of these external servers, first activity, we need to download that server. Next activity, we need to install that server. Next, we need to configure that server in our application. Configure that server, etc. So like this, all these things we need to do first. Right? These are the basic things we need to do it. Then only we can able to use this server. Then only we can able to use this server. Understood, guys? If you want to use any external server, first you need to download that server, you need to install that server, and you need to configure that server with your application. Then only you can able to use it. Arey boss, why you need to go for external servers and why you need to do all these things? Why you need to go for external servers and why you need to do all these things? Go with the Django framework. When you installed Django in your system, along with this Django framework, we are going to get one inbuilt server. We are going to get one inbuilt server, which is Django server. The server name itself, Django server. Right? If you use Django providing server, you no need to download anything. You no need to install anything. You no need to configure anything. Directly, you can run your application. Right? By default, this server is available with this Django framework. Anyway, you are installing this Django in your system. Along with that installation only, you will get this Django server only. Explicitly, you no need to download. Explicitly, you no need to install. Explicitly, you no need to configure. Right? This burden is reduced or not? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. If you want, you can take any external server, no problem. If you want, you can take any external server, no problem. If you want to use any external servers, all these steps you need to do first. Right? Instead of doing all these activities, if you go with this Django framework itself providing one inbuilt server, which is Django server, we no need to do any one of these activities. Directly, we can use this Django server. Next step. When we are working with applications, web applications, database is mandatory and we need to store the data inside the database for future references. Why we need to store the data inside the database? For future reference. For future reference, we need to store the data inside the database. Right. So in market, we have several databases are available. Several databases are available. Oracle is available. Oracle is available. MySQL is available. Postgres is available, etc. etc. So like this, we have several databases and right, several SQL databases and several NoSQL databases are available in market. All right. So now, if you go with this, any one of these external databases, if you go with any one of these external databases, again you need to do these steps. And again, you need to follow all these steps. And first, you need to download the database. You need to install the database. You need to configure the database. All these activities you need to do when you are going with external databases. Arey, why you are repeating again same thing? Huh? You are using Django framework. Already in your system, you installed Django framework. Along with this Django framework, we are getting one inbuilt database also. Along with this Django framework, we are getting one inbuilt database also. Happily, we can use that inbuilt database, which is SQLite 3. SQLite 3. If you install Django in your system, you will get inbuilt server, which is Django server, and you will get inbuilt database, which is SQLite 3. right? If you go with this SQLite 3, you no need to download anything. You no need to install anything. You no need to configure anything. By default, you will get along with this Django software in your system, right? So Django server, you don't need to do. Django, right? Database also, you don't need to do anything. And by default, you will get it. So next time, right? When we are developing our application, we need to provide the security for our application. And no one will tell, and from client side, no one will tell to provide the security for your application. And as a developer, that is your responsibility. As a developer, that is your responsibility to provide the security for your application. Client won't tell, array, write security logic also like that. Like, we are the developers. We need to take care of that security also, right? So for providing the security, we need to write a lot of code and lot of lines we need to write it. Instead of writing that much logic, if you go with this Django framework is providing one inbuilt application to take care of the security, right? Instead of writing external logic, if you go with this Django framework is providing one inbuilt application to take care of the security, which is auth application. Auth means authentication and authorization. Authentication and authorization. Authentication means what? Whether user is valid person or not, we are checking it. Checking whether user is valid person or not is nothing but what? Authentication. Authorization means what? Right, whether user having the permission to access any page or not. Whether user having the permission to access particular page or not. That is nothing but what? Authorization. Right, that authentication and authorization both will be taken care by this auth application only. Who is providing this auth application? Django framework is providing. If you install Django framework in your system, automatically you will get this auth application. Security, everything will be taken care by this auth application only. We no need to write much code explicitly for providing the security. Understood, guys? Next step. Right. So next step. And a few more security related things are there, and few more security related things are there. Right. To take care of all those security related things, Django is providing middleware concept. Middleware concept. This middleware will take care of all those things. Middleware is nothing but what is middleware? Before processing the request or after processing the request, if you want to modify the request, then we will go for this middleware concept. And very important in Django. Compulsory interview question in Django. Right? What is middleware? How to write custom middleware set? How to write custom middleware? Very important. Right? By default, Django is providing some middlewares and inbuilt middlewares. Right? If you want, based on your requirement, you can write custom middlewares also. Right? In interview room, they will ask how to implement custom middlewares. Very important question. Right? So what this middleware will do? Just give me 1 second. But here, so here, assume this is my IRCTC application. So this is my IRCTC application. So now here, user is trying to access this application. Means what user is trying to do? He is trying to book a ticket. Right? He will fill the form. And he will click on the submit button. Request will go to this application. Right? Inside this application, some logic is there. According to that logic, ticket will book it. And response he will get it. This is the process. Correct or not? Right? Inside the IRCTC server, right, we have IRCTC application. Some logic is available inside that application. Whenever user submit the request to book a ticket, that request will go to this application. This application will execute. If tickets are available, this application will book the ticket. If tickets are not available, it will generate some message like this. This is the happen. right? This is internally what happening when you book the ticket, right? Observe very carefully. Now, midnight 11:40. Now time is 11:40. Midnight 11:40 and night 11:40 to 12:20. 11:40 to 12:20 and if you anyone try to book a ticket in this time and between this time, anyone try to book a ticket between this time, guys? Anyone try to book a ticket in this time and right? So you can't able to book and right this time between this time you can't able to book a ticket. Why and so this is the IRCTC server maintenance time. IRCTC every day 11:40 they will restart the IRCTC servers. They will restart the IRCTC servers. Right between 11:40 to 12:20 you can't able to book a ticket. If you guys want, you guys can try once. Right. So now in this time I am trying to book a ticket. So what it will happen? I will get server is under maintenance. Please try after some time. Server is under maintenance. Please try after some time. You will get it. Server is under maintenance. Please try after some time. Who is providing this message and who is providing this message? IRCTC server is providing this message. No, your request is not reaching to the IRCTC server and server is under maintenance. Your request is not reaching to the server. In the middle, some person is available and your request reach to up to this person only. This person is providing response like, "Arey boss, server is under maintenance. Please try after some time." Right here, one person is available. This person only providing this message, not IRCTC server. IRCTC server is under maintenance. So that's why they enabled this person. IRCTC team, they enabled this person. They put one gatekeeper, right? They what they told, if any person told, tell them server is under maintenance, try after some time like that. Right? So IRCTC team put one gatekeeper. This gatekeeper is providing the message. Right? So after server maintenance time is completed, right? They will open the gate. They will open the gate and they will remove this person. Now your request will go to the server. Your request directly will go to the server. Right? Who is this person, Andy? This person is nothing but middleware. This middleware only providing the message like this. Right? So Django is providing some inbuilt middlewares to take care of all these things. If you want, you can write custom middlewares also. Right? Sometimes you guys will try to do some UPI transactions. At the time, right, bank server is busy, bank server is under maintenance, something you will get at. Who is providing those messages? Middlewares are providing those messages, not bank servers. Not bank servers. Middlewares are providing those messages. Understood what is happening here? Guys, please respond. Is this clear? Is this example is clear? Please respond. Is this clear? What is the job of middleware? Right. Middleware will provide these kind of response. Middleware will work like a gatekeeper. Gatekeeper. Right. Whenever IRCTC server is under maintenance, right, they will put one gatekeeper. If any request came, this gatekeeper will stop and will provide the response. After completing this maintenance time, right, these people will remove this gatekeeper. Your request directly will go to the server. You can book, server will book the ticket and all that. This is the process. So this person is nothing but what? Middleware. Django is providing some middleware, some inbuilt middlewares. If you want, you can write custom middlewares also. If you go with this Django framework, this is the advantage, right? You will get some middlewares also. So like this, several advantages are there if you use this Django framework. Because of this, Django became this much popular. 50% of this Django framework only providing it. It is reducing the burden to developers. Developer needs to concentrate on only remaining 50% of the part. Right? Because of that, right, you can develop the application as quickly as possible from scratch to end. from begin to end, you can complete the application development as quickly as possible because of using this Django framework. So that's why Django became this much popular. Clear, guys? Why Django became this much popular? Very good. Right. Next, we are going to use some databases, and anyway, Django is providing one SQLite 3 database. We are going to use this database. Right. I will show how to work with the Oracle external database, and I will show how to work with the MySQL database, and I will show how to work with the NoSQL database also, which is MongoDB. I will show. Right. So, which is MongoDB. MongoDB, I will cover it here. Nowadays, companies are using MongoDB, right? That's why I will show how to work with the MongoDB NoSQL database also. All these things I'm going to cover it. Database integrations, how to work with SQLite 3, how to work with Oracle, how to work with MySQL, how to work with the NoSQL, which is MongoDB. All these things we will discuss in our class. I will perform CRUD operations with SQLite 3, with Oracle, MySQL, and with the NoSQL also. All these things we are going to discuss in our regular sessions. Okay. So this is about backend. And if you want to work as a backend developer, you should have knowledge on these three things. And you should have knowledge on these three things. Right. Front end means front end components. What we need to cover? Right. We need to take care of this, all these things. And HTML, you should have knowledge. CSS, you should have knowledge, and JavaScript also you should have knowledge. Right. Then you can develop beautiful web application. Beautiful web application. What is web application? The application which we can access through internet. Such type of applications are called as web applications. Examples for web applications: Gmail is a web application, Facebook is a web application, Flipkart also web application, etc. We have several web applications. Right? If you want to develop any web application, we required mainly two things. Two components are required: front-end component and back-end component. What is front-end component? Whatever user can able to see on the browser, that everything will come under front-end only. For developing that front-end part, what technologies are required? HTML is required, CSS is required, and JavaScript also required. If you know only these two technologies, then you can develop only static pages. What is the static page? The pages which are not changing from person to person, such type of pages are called as static pages. Right? If you know JavaScript also, then you can develop dynamic pages. What is dynamic page? The pages which are changing from person to person, such a type of pages are called as dynamic pages. Clear? That is about front end. Coming to back end. Whatever user can't able to see on the browser, that everything will come under backend only. For developing backend, what technologies are required? Right, one programming language is required, one framework is required, and a database knowledge also must be required. Here, what programming language we are going to learn? Python we are going to learn. What frameworks we are going to learn? Django and Django we are going to learn. We have several frameworks and Django, Flask, Pyramid, Bottle, right? So many frameworks are available, but here we are going to discuss Django framework, right? So next one, database knowledge. And anyway, when we are working with Django framework, we will get one inbuilt database, which is SQLite 3. We are going to discuss how to work with SQLite 3, how to work with Oracle, how to work with MySQL, how to work with NoSQL, MongoDB as well, right? Clear? What is front end? What is back end? What is web application? What is back-end developer role? What is front-end developer role? What is the full stack developer role? Clear all these things? So anyone have any questions? So far, any questions? Guys, in classroom itself, you guys need to get everything. Don't go with the blank mindset. Don't go with confusion mindset. Here itself, you guys need to get everything what we discussed in. If I ask any question in the middle of the sleep also, you guys need to tell answer. So that much confidence is required. And then only you can give answers very confidently in interview room also. In interview, if they ask any questions, you guys should be in a position to explain, to teach them, and not only giving the answer. You guys should be in a position to teach them. That much confidence is required. Don't lose your confidence. Everyone will get the jobs. What is required? Just practice is required. Clear? Okay. Okay. We'll continue tomorrow. We'll continue tomorrow things, and tomorrow I will show what course content I'm going to cover. In Python, I'm going to discuss around 35 topics, and more than 35 topics I'm going to discuss. In Django, more than 25 to 30 topics I'm going to discuss. When we are working with the Django framework, daily one application we are going to develop, daily one application. By the end of Django framework, you guys will complete at least 30 applications. Just assume if you guys are developing 30 applications, how much confidence you guys are going to get on Django framework. And in interview, if anybody asks questions related to Django, you guys will teach everything on whiteboard. So that much confidence you guys are going to get on Django framework. After completing Django framework, on weekends before Django only, before Django framework only, on weekends, I will take sessions on UI technologies like HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, and JavaScript. These are 4 things I will cover on weekends. I'm not going to disturb regular sessions to discuss these UI technologies. On weekends, I will discuss HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript. These are 4 things. I'm not going to teach Angular and all. If I want to teach Angular, 2 more months are required for me. Only Angular, I will teach 2.5 months. Right? So we don't have that much time. So I'm not going to discuss anything related to Angular. HTML, CSS, Bootstrap, JavaScript, I will discuss. Okay. After completing Django framework, I will talk about REST API development. REST API development, I'm going to discuss. There only I'm going to discuss security related things also. In REST API, very, very important, how you will provide the security for your API. For that, we have so many things are there. By using HTTP basic authentication, and by using a token system, we can provide the security, and by using JWT also we can provide the security. All those things we are going to discuss in REST API development. After completing REST API development, we are going to develop one project. At the time of developing the project only, we are going to use all tools which we will use in the company. At the time of developing the project, whatever the tools we are using in the company, all the tools I'm going to discuss at the time of project development only. Practically, I will show all the tools. Practically, I'm going to show all the tools how to use it. But here, one more thing I want to mention, project in the sense, don't feel entire project. Developing entire project, one person is not that much easier. In the companies for developing the project, separate different teams are available, and they are taking years of time to develop the project. But here, how can I develop entire project in 10 to 15 days? And that's why in the project, I'm going to take one module, and that module end to end, I'm going to develop that module, front end, business logic, database, REST API, everything end to end, I'm going to develop, and I'm going to show you guys. Okay. Anyway, CRUD operations, all those things we will do at the time of discussing Django only. All database CRUD operations we are going to discuss in Django only. At the time, we will develop a UI part, business logic, database integrations, everything we are going to see. Along with these things, at the end, we are going to develop one real-time project. We are going to put that project in your resumes also. You guys can put that project in your resumes also. In interview, you guys can tell, I worked on this module. So my roles and responsibilities on this module is, I developed backend logic. I wrote logic to interact with database. I developed front end also. You guys can tell you guys are the full stack developers after completing this course. After completing this course, you guys can tell you guys are the full stack developers. You guys can develop a front end. You guys can write business logic. You guys can interact with the DB. Everything you guys can able to do. And that's why after completing this course, you guys confidently can say you guys are the full stack developers and not front end developers and back end developers. Okay. So this is our agenda. Total 6 things we are going to learn at here. Total 6 things. And one is Python we are going to learn. Core and advanced, both. And I'm not going to separate it. I don't separate anytime. Just Python means Python only. Java means Java only. We don't have separate parts like core and advanced. And right? These institute people are divided like that. Right? We don't have separate core Python, separate advanced Python. Python is Python. That's it. Java is Java. That's it. We don't have core Java, advanced Java. Institute people only divided like that. Right. So next, after completing Python, I will talk Django framework. Right here, UI technologies. Next, I will talk about REST API development. Next here, we are going to see real-time project and real-time tools. Right. So this is the agenda. I'm going to cover all these things. UI technologies, I'm mentioning HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap. Right, all these things I'm going to discuss in UI technologies. Right, so all these things I'm going to discuss. Right, daily class timings. Daily class timings. Daily class timings. Daily class timings. Evening 6 p.m. Sorry, due to office meetings today it get delayed. From tomorrow onwards, it will start exactly evening 6 p.m. Right, 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Right, classes Monday to Friday. Sorry, Monday to Saturday, not Friday. Monday to Saturday. All right. So UI technologies, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap, all these things I will discuss on weekends, not regular days. Regular days, I will discuss Python, Django, REST API, real-time project, real-time tools. That's it. Okay. Right. Next, course fee. And what is the course fee? Drop a message to that number. I will tell in that separately. I'm not going to mention about the fee. Right. So you guys have the number, right? So on that poster, you guys have the number and just drop a message to the number. Whoever have the interest, just drop a message to that number. I will tell the course fee and all. Okay. All these things I'm going to discuss. Right. The total duration, 3 months, 15 days minimum and maximum 4 months. And maybe if there is any festivals or anything will come, it will get delayed till 4 months. Right. I will try to complete right within 3.5 months only. If required, I will take extra sessions on Saturdays and Sundays. Right. I will spend 3 hours on Saturdays, Sundays. I will try to complete it. I'm not going to skip anything and I won't skip anything. Whatever I am promising, each and every topic I will discuss in detail with practical examples. Okay. Any questions? From tomorrow onwards, class will start exact 6 p.m. 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. Today, due to my office meeting, it get delayed. From tomorrow, it won't get delayed. If there is any delay, I will do prior intimation. Right, coming to notes. Right here in notepad, whatever I'm writing, each and every point I will write in front of you guys only. Right, after completing the session, I will share these notes. I will share this notepad. Whatever I am discussing in the session, each and every point I'm writing it here in detail. At the same time, tomorrow when we do the programs, I will put programs also at here. I will put programs and outputs also at here, and I will share everything after completing the session. At the end of the day, I will share these notes also. You guys not required to take any running notes, just concentrate what I am telling. That's it. Here, everything I'm writing behalf of you guys. You guys not required to take any running notes. Everything I'm writing it here. After completing the session, I will share this notepad to you guys. Okay. Any questions? Now, if you guys have any questions, you guys can ask in chat box. After completing this course, you guys can put 4 to 5 years of experience in your resume. You guys can claim minimum 4 years of experience after completing this course. And you guys can tell, I have 4 years of experience in full stack development. That much confidence you guys are going to get up by the end of completing this course. And okay, guys. If you guys no questions, I will stop the session. And one more thing, two-way communication must be required here. If I ask any question, you guys need to respond. I will give some assignments. You guys need to do those assignments also. I will check, and whether you guys are done or not, I will check. Okay, good. Okay, guys, we'll discuss tomorrow. Thank you.